call us to order or wait for a couple minutes for Kathy? Okay.
Oh, he says we're good.
All right, okay. All right, so I'll call us to order. The first thing is the approval of minutes. Did everyone get a chance to look at the minutes?
The only thing I noticed offhand was that they misspelled Fort Heileman, so that should be corrected. There's an E after the L.
And they also misspelled Gary's Ferry. It's G-A-R-Y apostrophe S or G-A-R-E-Y apostrophe S, correct?
Yes, it's a G-A-R-E-Y. That's the,
Yeah, it's misspelled a couple of times on here.
oh,
In the area of discussion and cemeteries highlighted, and then in the little summary right below it.
good, okay.
Hey Kathy, we just started. We're looking at the minutes to see if there's any corrections. Looks like 2 have been noted, 2 spelling corrections. And I'll give everyone another minute to look.
She put it all together on the packet today. Okay, sorry. Okay.
Where's the Gary's Ferry, did you see?
Where was the Gary's Ferry correction at? It's under
Oh,
item
oh,
2.
yeah, gosh, that's awful.
Yeah,
All right.
there's
All right,
2
okay.
spots.
All right, so those are all the corrections. Do we have a motion to approve?
I motion to approve the minutes.
Right? Is there a second to approve?
Second.
All righty, any further discussion?
What? Stop it.
We can do a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? And it's approved. All righty, next is,
Shut up, can you make it shut up?
next is public comments. There's no one here from the public, so following that, we have old business. Ms. Carson.
Yes, just wanted to provide you a brief update on the historic markers at this point. Middleburg Colored School Museum, Middleburg Colored School marker was just approved, and that is now going into production. St. Mary's Episcopal Church, that went into production back in March 2026, and so we are waiting on that. They said 5 to 6 months, so hopefully we're getting close. The Middleburg Museum is in for review, and we're waiting for the council to get that on their agenda. And that's all we have.
They did, the leaders of that initiative did ask me to check whether there's anything lacking that hasn't already been submitted for the Middleburg marker.
No, it's been submitted. We're just waiting on the council
Very
to
good.
schedule
Well,
it.
they'll be happy to hear that. They're
Yeah.
very happy with the county marker.
The county marker is awesome.
Fine. Yep, Billy did a great job on that.
Yes.
Yep.
All right,
So that's all I have. We have no other markers in the works at this time other than Fort,
Number 11.
thank you.
That, if I may comment, we've got so much material that has been collected, went to DC and all that, so. Do they want physically, material to look at, or is it enough to cite the,
They typically ask for any material that you couldn't readily find. So just copies of PDF copies of it.
hundreds of pages?
If it's something that couldn't be found, if there's a book to refer to, certainly they could look it up if they wanted to, but if there was a.
Well, yeah, I mean, books we can cite, but.
Yes.
But the actual material from, this is just part of the archival material that, so just I don't know how much they'd really want, but I don't want them to say, whoa, we didn't have something we wanted, so. But I hope the county would pay for the shipping.
We do all PDFs. It's all scanned and sent electronically.
Now,
That's,
meanwhile, concerning the fort, I was just in touch with Deirdre Murphy, who's to blame for launching this. And she said that she just, I guess yesterday, heard from Tom Parham, who's been gradually working on locating, if possible, where the actual fort was. And he told her, she says, that he has finally located it. It's on private property, but it might be something we want to cite or at least put in the report to the people who will review it, if indeed he's found it.
well, we would need the property owner's permission to
Well,
locate the
no.
marker if they're willing.
They said, Deirdre said, no, they've already decided they're gonna have it in the public place where it can be seen and observed. So even though the site of the actual fort is probably a couple blocks from there, that's gonna have to be good enough. But it'll be nice if, for the sake of the record or the files, they can say that it's exactly at this particular point. But I haven't heard, she said, she promised that she'd get him to share with us more information about what he's found, because this has been going on a long time, so, yeah. So, that's it.
That's all I have.
All right, now I'm back working on the wording for a Pleasant Point marker. I've got Megan Coppage helping me, so I'm hoping within a couple of months I'll have that researched and ready to present, so. All right, we're back to any other further public comments? And there's no public, so we'll move on to staff comments. Kathy, do you want to give a cemetery update?
Absolutely. So at Sauter Cemetery, we continue to do maintenance there and cleaning the stones. It's in great condition. So we don't have a lot of things to do there. At McHenry, we're doing maintenance to control the vegetation. We repaired the fence post there. Boy Scout Troop 482, which originally did some cleanup for us in January, has committed to do monthly maintenance on the third Saturday of every month for the next 12 months. So that is awesome. I'm very excited about that. At Hibernia Cemetery, I've been assisting Bree McGee with the research of the unmarked burials at Hibernia. There's a lot of wooden crosses there that don't have names, a lot of unmarked burials. We found several records to indicate that, you know, who is buried at Hibernia, which is awesome. My husband and I repaired and installed a broken headstone for Felix Frazier, which was a one of the black families that is buried at Hibernia. It was stored, his stone was stored in St. Margaret's Chapel for several decades. He had a wooden cross there with his name on it, but his actual stone was in the chapel. It was broken and in the chapel. So we took it home, we repaired it, and a couple weeks ago we installed it and cleaned it and took the wooden cross out. It was so exciting. We were just so excited. And cleaned several other stones while we were there. The Sophia Fleming chapter of the DAR was with us, and we are also working on some other stuff with them. So tomorrow I'm going to be attending the FPN HMS Summit in St. Augustine, which is the Heritage Monitoring Scout Program, which I'm a member of. I've also compiled a list of Pearl Harbor survivors that are buried in Clay County, and I've provided them to the historical societies because they were asking about making recognition for that for Pearl Harbor Day in December. So I put together a whole list of Pearl Harbor survivors that are buried in Clay County. I've also contacted the Jacksonville DAR about replacement of the Patriot marker for Lewis Wilford at Old Hickory Grove Cemetery. The lady that is in charge of that has kind of done a sabbatical over the summer, so I haven't gotten an update from them, but they are engaged with that to try and replace the Patriot marker for him. I've also attended the National Trust for Historic Preservation webinar that was regarding the regulation changes to Section 106 of the National Historic Preservation Act and how it affects us. So I don't know if you've heard about this, but Section 106 is part of the National Historic Preservation Act, and the federal government is making some changes to that that may affect us. One of the things that affects us is that state and local governments will no longer have the right to be notified or have the opportunity to comment when federal agency propose to damage or destroy historic places within their jurisdiction. So if you are not familiar with this changes with Section 106, I certainly can provide the information about this, but it was a very interesting webinar to learn about how the federal government is making changes that could affect us on the state and local government level.
Have these been final, those changes been finalized, or are they in the works?
They're under threat, and the National Trust for Historic Preservation has voted against it. So there's a big fight going on about these changes to Section 106.
Okay, so people could comment, send in comments.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I can provide that so you guys can see more information about what's going on at the federal level. Because the federal government is making changes that are
Right.
going to affect us at the state and local government level.
Yeah, or state, yeah.
Yep. Some of the other things that are going on, is still waiting on the VA approval for a headstone for James Keene at Sauter. We haven't gotten a denial, which is always good. No news is always good news, right? I haven't got any update yet on the Branning Cemetery from the State Historical Commission. They were supposed to have the, somebody go out and do a site visit there. I haven't got any update from her. We've got several headstone repairs that we are working on. One is for Logenia Townsend at Sauter. One is for George Dunscone at Hibernia. George is another one. His headstone is broken off about this much from the base. The rest of it is stored in the chapel. Been there for a long time. So we are working with the Sophia Fleming chapter of the DAR, and we're gonna build a template to try and figure out how to put his stone back together. So we can do that. We have 2 headstones at Black Creek Methodist Church Cemetery and 2 at McHenry, and 1 headstone for Roxy Bell at Hibernia. So we're doing a lot of headstone repairs to try and preserve the memory of these people that are buried within Clay County. I still need to verify the date of Holly Hills Cemetery to add them to the Florida Master Site File. Even though the property was given to them for the cemetery, I'm still trying to finalize the actual date before I can submit it. And I'm still waiting on an update from Ms. Peebles about the location of Garner Leach Cemetery, which is off of Springbake Road, so we can get that added. And we need to, also visit and submit Bellamy Road Cemetery and Keystone to get them added as well. So we got a lot of stuff going on. I'm kind of at the point where I said, we're not going to take anything more on because we've kind of overcommitted what we're doing. I've had some people reach out to me and says, oh, can you come and clean up this cemetery? Well, I can only do so much, right? We need to have more volunteers. We do a lot of research, we do a lot of restoration work, but we can't take anything on more at this point.
Among the projects that you, or at least surveys that you've made, Hickory Grove Cemetery, have you been poking around there? Because it's long seemed to me that the borders of the thing, they're tapering off, down the slope, that there may well be burials there that have kind of just disappeared from sight.
So my contact for Old Hickory Grove is Ms. Peebles. We have tried numerous times to offer our services to repair the stones,
Yeah.
do maintenance there, whatever. We just can't seem to get a response
Right.
from the church. We've offered our services free of charge, volunteering, but we can't seem to get them to say, okay, great, let's.
Yeah, I've tried to find anybody who's in charge of the cemetery, they're legally in charge of it, but.
Well, the Old Hickory Grove Cemetery is owned by the Hickory Grove Baptist Church.
Yes,
And that's how we've been trying to connect with them,
exactly.
offering our services to maintain it or repair stones or whatever. And we cannot seem to get any response from them.
Mhm.
I have a contact at that church.
Yeah.
And I'll talk to her if
Oh, great.
I can get you somewhere.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, we've been talking to Ms. Peebles. We talked to her a year ago. And we've tried to reach out to the pastor and several things about trying to get things done. I'm more concerned about not mowing and weed eating and that kind of stuff, more as researching and repairing the stones, because there's a lot of stones that are broken, that just need to be fixed, and we've got the skills to do that. We certainly can get more volunteers to help with the mowing and the weed eating stuff, but the other things where we're just maintaining and repairing the headstones for people that are buried there would be our primary focus.
Do you have access still to ground penetrating, that would reveal buried stones that have sunk into the ground and so forth?
Yeah, so we do, we are very involved with FPAN, which has the ground penetrating radar.
Yep.
In fact, when I was working with Bree McGee about Hibernia, she asked me about that. And Hibernia Cemetery is fairly small,
Mhm.
right? And I told her, I said, we could probably arrange that, but she and I went through with the dowsing rods to try and go over where we think the burials are, because there's a lot of crosses with no names. And we
Mhm.
think they're either slaves or other black families that were buried in there, and we just need to kind of confirm. I don't know that really a GPR would really help her that much.
Does Ms. Peoples know you're getting that marker? I forgot his name, the gentleman that was in the Revolutionary War. Is she
Oh,
aware of that?
Yeah,
Right.
Lewis Wilford.
All right,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah, he's got a stone, but his DAR marker is disappeared over the years. But that's what I'm working with the Jacksonville DAR to get that replaced. But it would be nice to be able to do some repairs of the stones. Because even when we were at Hibernia, and there's a few there was a couple, one lady, her stone is off the base. We could see the base, we could see her stone, she's kind of fallen off to the side. So it's not a big deal to put her back on there. Those kind of things is fairly easy to do. But yes, with some of these other ones, you know, trying to find where there's burials. I mean, I walked through Hibernia with my dowsing rods where there were markers, and sometimes they would work, sometimes they wouldn't. But my understanding that the wooden markers in Hibernia were done by a Boy Scout troop back in the 80s. So I don't know how they determined that there were burials there. We're not quite sure. But Bree and I have been doing a lot of research and found several records about people that are buried at Hibernia. Which is very cool, because a lot of them are Black families that, and that's kind of what we assumed, was the back part of the cemetery were either slaves or servants or, you know, Black families from the Fleming plantation.
Great. And then Melissa, maybe you can help break the ice with Hickory Grove and
Yeah.
maybe
I'll see what I can do.
so they can do some work there. I'll just piggyback real quickly with Pleasant Point. Did you see we had the FPAN do their initial archaeological report? Did you get a copy of that?
No,
I'll forward it to you. It's pretty,
Okay.
it's pretty interesting, or anybody else here that might be interested. And they're gonna be back out in the fall when temperatures get a little cooler to keep surveying. And as for Pleasant Point, Henry Bennett, I did talk to Rick Roberts, and I do have a plan moving forward, but I'm still needing a signature to get that replacement stone for him.
cool.
So I think that's it for Pleasant Point. Any other related staff comments or
I mean, board member comments?
so we would move next to, is this where I might mention, I'm sorry, the historical district stuff, or do I wait for? All right, so any other comments? We'll move on to board member comments now. Am I correct? Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I wondered about that. All right, I apologize. So, I'll just jump in here. At our last meeting, the term of having a historical district here in Green Cove came up, and I was kind of curious about that. And then I went to a museum roundtable, and it came up again. And then I talked to Mary and Justino and Vitiate Archives, and they asked me to try to figure out if we do have a designation for a historical district. And we do, it's on the National Register, and it was put in 1991, but we're still trying to find out if we have any kind of local designation. So I was just curious about that, and I thought I would follow up on that. And I know that Beth is checking with someone through the county as well, with the city, and I have someone with the city, I believe it's Aaron West, that was gonna try to figure that out. I also reached out to tourism, so. But so far, it is a little bit of a mystery whether or not the city here did any kind of a classification for a historic district. So,
Yes. I'm a little unclear these days on if we found these designations, what could we do about them? Because there seems to be the idea that if it's in an incorporated district, the county is hands-off, you know, we don't do anything with it, which is a little strange to me, but that's apparently the settled opinion. So would we be talking about a historical district for unincorporated parts of the county?
and I don't know, Jerry, this stuff is so new to me.
well.
And I found out that there's really nobody that had clear answers for me on any of this.
Well, I think late 80s, for example, Green Cove Springs had a survey made by, you know, professionals. I think it was about 1989. And
And we believe that was the work that was done that would lay the way for us to get on the National Register. Vichy has a copy of that full survey, as does the museum. You guys have one at the museum as well, and I think it's the original that's there. And what we think is that was put together and then presented to get us on the National Register.
right.
But whether or not the city or county did anything further, we're not clear yet.
No.
And I don't know what the benefits would be to that. but I just thought I would try to investigate it a little bit.
It's a kind of an uphill struggle as far as I can see because, people who don't want to have any restrictions on what they can do with their property. And so we have to convince them that it's a cool thing to do. It's better for the prestige of the place and its standing.
Correct, but it does, if I understand right, it can lead to some grant opportunities and then perhaps some small tax incentives.
Yes, I guess, although taxes, for example, in Green Cove, taxes are really pretty low at present. So I'm not sure how much,
Okay.
unless there was grants for rehabilitating a building, but whenever I've tried to look into it, it seems that the only real substantial grants are for historic commercial properties. But I may be mistaken, but that's the way it looks so far, so. Yeah, if there was some real money available to homeowners who wanted to really bring back a place. The other thing about the designation of historical districts is it's really apparently emphasizing the exterior of the buildings. To me, the interior would be just as fascinating if it could be made, more prominent in the thinking of the planners. But so far, that's the way it seems to be regarding private residences.
All right, if we could start it maybe with Barbara and just go down, and if anyone has any final comments.
I'm good.
Anything further, Jerry?
Still zonked out from my trip, so.
Where did you go?
Italy, and I just learned that one of the places we hung out in, ancient Puteoli, has had a tremendous landslide, and some people have been killed and cars have been crushed. So I guess we just got out of there in time. Yeah, anyway, it was a fascinating trip, but very taxing. I guess I'm filling my ears lately. I think I'll just go on cruises from now on.
Melissa, anything? Barbara?
No, just Kathy, if you need any help with, if you want to, partial out something that I would be more than
I always can
happy.
use help.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not as good as you, but
No,
I would
but-
be more than willing if you want to say, hey, can you take this and do a little research or whatever?
Oh, absolutely. I
Okay.
always need help.
Okay,
Always.
so just let me know.
So my only comment is I've been on the board now for about a year. And I'm really struggling with the fact of what our objectives are. I mean, I provide a lot of updates about what we're doing, trying to preserve history through cemetery research and, repairs and preservation and things of that sort. But other than that, what are our objectives? I mean, we can't just be about signs because we've got signs in the mix that are either waiting for approval, have been approved, we don't have the budget. So what is it that we want to accomplish? What do we want to do here? That's what I would like to see the board talk about. What do you want to see happen as far as preserving history within our county? What are some ideas? Let's spitball about, areas that we can really focus on. I mean, I'm trying to get as involved as I can, not just at the cemetery level, but obviously, like I said, I've attended webinars at the national level talking about legislation and other things, but what do you want to see happen?
what is our focus as a preservation board? Because I haven't heard that.
That's one of the reasons I went down the historic district rabbit hole to see if that might open up any avenues where we could be helpful.
Yeah, I think we need to be very aware of what's going on, not only in the community, but at the government level, both at the local, state, and federal level, about what historic preservation means and how it affects us. And so I'm trying to get as involved as I can, but I'm not hearing that you guys have any ideas or suggestions about other things that we need to be focusing on this year.
Well, I think at the last meeting, I just quickly looked at the notes, because of course they're summarized, but I remember our new chair, Sean, was talking about, let's get working on doing historic development systems, and you said a few more things, but, I mean, so we'll have to let him tell us about it next meeting, because it's like, he kind of was saying, he didn't say we're not going anywhere. He said, this is where I want to go with this board. And when he accepted the position, so I think it's already started rolling, Kathy. I think so.
And what about our suggestion about making recognitions that hasn't been talked about? Where are we at with that?
Well, last time, what I'm remembering, a name was brought up, people liked it. Someone, I don't know who, wasn't me, I don't know the person, was going to bring it, because what the final thing was, is we were going to vote that, yes, we want to give this official recognition. So if you didn't put it on the menu, if you didn't put it on to talk about it, I think that's what we'll have to do by next time, that, you know, come
Didn't you
in and
say
say, I
something had
think,
to be approved?
So I reviewed that and I was looking for how that was left. And
Right.
it was left that you would provide me an email describing the person that you wanted to recognize and why. And then
Okay.
that would be put on the agenda for you all to review and decide if you, as a board, want to recognize that person.
Okay, so
So-
that's an action item for us for next month.
Yep.
That if you have somebody you want to recognize, you need to send Beth an email about who you want to recognize and why.
Why?
Is that correct?
Yes.
but then
Okay.
also we'll vote and say, yes, we want to do that. That was a piece of it,
And
too.
as much description as you can, you know, because also ultimately our communications team would like to maybe recognize as well. So the more details that you can give as far as, you know, why you want to nominate them, the better.
Okay.
Do we,
Were you gonna do a certificate
Yeah, I
or
was
something, a
gonna ask you
paper?
about that.
Well, we had the categories that you were gonna choose from, and so if you'll let me know which category you want, and if you need me to send that information out back to you again, so you
That
can
would be great.
I will send that out.
Thank you.
and then you'll follow up and we'll have a certificate of recognition designed?
Yes,
Okay, because we want to make
So
sure.
next meeting, we'll vote on the people that have been nominated to
yes.
make that happen? Okay.
And then would you be responsible for contacting them, or would you want me to contact them? Because, you know, ultimately, we have to make sure they're available to attend the meeting and, you know, schedule a time for them to be here. So how would you prefer to do that? Since you're the ones that have the contact with them, do you want to contact? Or do you want me
I
to?
would think we could reach out and contact and then have them verify with you that they're going to be here.
That's fine,
All right.
we can do that.
All right, it almost sounds like we might need a breakout committee to work with Sean to come up with ideas for direction, you know, have a committee.
That's something that we would have to have a special date and time,
Or some
so
time.
outside of the meeting to do.
And then present that to the rest of the board, like here's some ideas for us to also move forward with. So,
Is it just the two of you, or would it be all of you? Like
I would
maybe
think
you
it
all
would
bring
be-
your ideas back?
a good question. I was just thinking in this context, with this many people and our limited time here, it's hard to really generate some thoughts and go with them. So just thinking a committee of whoever would want to be on it with our chair to then get some direction and bring it back, but just a
Right.
thought.
Yep, we can certainly set up a subcommittee. We have to find a location and advertise
know
it and
it's
all
a-
that,
it's
all
a
that
pain.
stuff. Yep, so it's okay. We can do that.
Okay.
I
Any,
just want us to have some focus, because it seems like we talk about the markers and we give a cemetery update, and I was like, okay, but what's the big picture? What are we trying to accomplish this year? Because we really don't have a budget for more markers, right? And, you know, the only one I've talked about that we haven't got on the list is the Branning Cemetery. But I'm really waiting on the State Historical Commission before we do anything with that.
yeah, and as for a budget, what is our fiscal year? Is it when we start back up or
It
is?
starts October 1,
Okay,
and I don't know what the budget's slated for next year. We are in a very lean year coming. So we need to make sure at least we have these markers covered that we've submitted to the state so that, you know, we have to.
But even county markers would be less expensive, right?
Correct, yes.
So it was interesting when I heard that they put the county marker up for the Middleburg Museum. They didn't even know it was going up. It was like, oh, it just showed up. And it was great,
Yeah.
but they were not made aware that it was, and because they are owned by the county paid for it, but it was kind of like, boo, oh, here it is. But it looks absolutely beautiful. And, you know, so they are very happy about it. But even if we can do a county marker for some things, that would be awesome. Oh, I wanted to, Jerry, you remember you were talking about that one that was over by, on 16?
Francisco de Pupo.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
It
there.
keeps
It is there.
appearing and disappearing, but
It's,
right now.
it's there, because
yeah,
I've
it's
looked for
back,
it.
yes,
When
okay.
you were talking about it, it is there.
Whereas the Fort Heileman marker seems to have
So
moved
the
over
Fort
to the
Heileman
drugstore. I don't
marker
know why.
is really bizarre.
Yeah.
Why is it right
On the
there by,
ground.
on,
By Walgreens.
yeah, on 21, and there's vegetation almost covering it up?
Mhm.
Why isn't it down by the boat ramp where Fort Heileman should be?
Right, well, I was the only one who seemed to be worried about that, so I don't know.
I saw it and I was like, oh, there it is.
Because it used to be, you know, by the near Main Street entrance, you know,
Yeah.
which of course is more appropriate.
Well, and the vegetation is pretty much taking it over.
That's
It's
right.
really hard.
Yeah.
So how difficult would it be to relocate it to where it really needs to be?
And this is a state marker, or is it? a county?
Yes,
It is a county
for Fort
marker.
Heileman.
Okay.
I mean, it's just in a weird place.
Actually, if somebody would kindly run over it and destroy it, we could start over.
Jerry, don't
because
say that. Don't say-
The spelling is wrong. The spelling is wrong on that marker,
Well, the spelling is wrong,
Yeah.
but it's not in the right place.
right.
And it was going down Blanding. I remember you talking about it. And I was like, oh, there it is. But you can't hardly see it because of the vegetation and
yeah,
stuff
it's-
around it. And I'm like,
I've never seen
That's not where
another
it
state
should
marker
be
that
anyway.
is down on the ground, you know, sort of, almost. So, but it is
so
now.
it'd be interesting to know what it would take to relocate it to where it really should be located.
Do we have some documentation historically tying it to? Can we find that information? I can verify what was submitted to the state, and we can look at, you know, marker data and see why it's at that location if that's.
Yeah, that would be good, and I could probably find data that shows, I mean, obviously, Fort Heileman was right across Black Creek. It wasn't where Blanding is, it was right across Black Creek, because it was across from Gary's Ferry. So,
Most of it was within the forks, but a substantial portion was north, you know, on north prong across, because they wanted to keep people from blowing up the munitions and so forth, so they.
right,
And they had some dragoon units stationed over there and so forth, so. since we've been on a cemetery, jag, well, I would like to see, if somebody hasn't already done it, a marker for the Whitesville Cemetery. Because I don't remember seeing one yet, and yet it was one of the oldest around here.
So Whitesville, I don't have one listed as Whitesville. I have the one that's, what is his name? Can't think of what it is now.
Yeah.
Ozias
Buddington.
Buddington.
Yes,
Yeah, his cemetery is over there,
yes.
but I don't have one listed separately as Whitesville Cemetery.
Well, but it is, it's an aggregation of markers.
Where?
Well, it's, I don't know I don't remember how to describe the street, but it's a little bit tucked away from the main drag, but not very far. And the actual graves seem to be on private property, but the owners are friendly, you know, they're interested in it. So if we had
Where are
any.
you talking about, Jerry? Because I've been to all those cemeteries over there in Middleburg.
Okay, so
not-
we're
you're not talking about
Os-
Buddington.
Ozias Buddington and his associates.
Right?
So that's what I mean. So
Oh, you're talking about Buddington Cemetery.
if that's what you want to call it, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's on, well, it's
But it's,
next to private property. The lady that owns the property next to it will tell you she does not own the property of the cemetery.
well,
right over off the road.
two people that came out to meet us a couple of years ago says they are the owners and it's theirs, but they don't mind people looking around. So
Are you talking about Buddington?
yes.
Yeah, I talked to the lady last year and she says, we don't own the cemetery. Our deed does
Well,
not
that's
include the
good.
cemetery property.
In any case, it's by a little road,
Yeah.
and hopefully the county owns at least part of that little road so we could put up a marker.
We could, yeah,
Because it's very significant,
because it's got famous people buried there.
yes,
Yeah,
yeah, and some other not so famous but tragic people are buried there too, yeah.
yeah. It's not a very big cemetery,
Hmm.
but it's very cool.
How many monuments remain?
20, and it's fenced in. Ozias Buddington was very, I mean, I see his name on a lot of deed records and probate records
Oh, yeah,
and
he
a
was
lot of other
everything.
stuff. He was very, you
Yes.
know,
Yeah, he was county judge, you know, for a while.
yeah,
Yep.
there you go. We could probably put a county marker up there. I've talked to the lady that owns the property, or owns the property around it. Like she said, I don't own the cemetery, I just own the property around it. I'm like, okay. But when we went out there last year, we went out and got it registered with the state.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
All right, anything else? We will adjourn.
Do you want anything about this? It's the section 106